Today on Locked On Red Wings, Reimer gets the shutout as the Red Wings dominate the Blue Jackets in Columbus.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I'm a podcast producer for the Daily JAWWJ News Radio podcast, while Scott is the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Scotty, the Red Wings are tied for first in the Atlantic Division after a dominating win in Columbus.
It's so funny because I was about to do it. I have the standings right next to me. I was like, you were gonna like, oh, how you doing? And I was literally gonna say, we're tied for first in the Atlantic and in the East. It's like really no big deal.
No big deal.
That's what I was gonna say.
But yeah, Scotty, the Red Wings obviously dominating win in Columbus over the Blue Jackets, winning 4-0. James Reimer getting his first shutout with the Red Wings and his first career start with the Red Wings. There's just so much, like, this is going to be, honestly, like, there's one thing we got to sift through early on, but after that, it's going to be just like a love letter to the Detroit Red Wings. And honestly, we talked about it. This is a game you should dominate. They don't have Merzlikins because he was ill. They don't have Zach Werenski, one of their best players, because he's injured. So this is a team right now that the Red Wings very much should have dominated, and they did. But it didn't feel, Scotty, like they were going to dominate this team coming out of the first period, despite coming out of it with a 1-0 lead, because they were really sloppy in the first period.
Yeah, they were certainly sloppy defensively. And I thought, honestly, the passing in the first period was like frustrating on the offensive side. But yeah, I mean, like, I guess we should just start with the bad. And then, like you said, we can just only do 100% pretty much good from here on out. Like,
well, I was just going to say, and even the bad has a caveat of something really good.
For sure. I agree. Like, the only bad was really the defensive positioning in the first period. Like, there's really, like, it's a very specific thing, and it was 20 minutes long and then stopped. So, like, even that is getting, like, really nitpicky. But yeah, man, like, they there was a lot of opportunities for Columbus right in front of the net, like, just could waltz into the slot. It was really frustrating. Honestly, I was very scared several times. Now, like you said, there's a good thing that kind of comes with that comes with it, but that was highlighted during that as well, that we'll talk about in a second. But the defensive positioning was pretty poor there, and there was really no resistance out front, no resistance in the high slot. Certainly got a lot of work in the first period. But they were able to, Reimer had a great game. We'll talk about that in a second. And thankfully we're able to keep them off the board. And yeah, there was some sloppy passing, I thought, in the first period. Specifically, there was two plays specifically, because I think we had a peeper in the first period. And like,
yes. Is that going to be your thing? Are you just going to be calling them peepers for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I don't know how I haven't done that on air. My buddies and I have been calling it that for years, but it's there was one pass by Rasmussen where he just passed it to the wrong side of the stick. Like in the first period, like, this is like super nitpicky because that's how good of a game it was. That was like frustrating, and if you pass it to the right side, it would have been a pretty easy like slapper. And then Sider did the same thing on the power play. And like, there was a pass he had to DeBrincat where he just passed the complete wrong side of DeBrincat's body, and it prevented him from getting a shot off. And then, like, that's it. Like, that was the bad. Like, that's the end of the conversation. We're 4 minutes in. That's the end of the bad. Like, from that on out, periods 2 and 3, the defensive positioning improved greatly. There was a lot more resistance out in front of the net. The passing obviously sharpened up a boatload. They got a lot of really good opportunities. And yeah, there's a bunch we can go break down as far as the good in this game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was Blue Jacket domination in the first period. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. Yep. The Red Wings were disjointed. They were scrambling. At 5-on-5, the Blue Jackets had 68% of the shot attempts, 17-8. If you sort that by quality, so you try to attach some quality to those shot attempts, it was a 74%, 74% weighted towards Columbus in the first period. So the Blue Jackets absolutely had control in the first, and a lot of it had to do, like you said, because of that defensive positioning. Not just when we say defensive positioning, we don't mean the defenseman in just the defenseman. They obviously as well. But, the centerman who's supposed to pick up that high guy kept losing it. All the Columbus Blue Jackets kept doing was cycle low, send puck out front, like I would do in NHL 18 or whatever the last copy I have is on my shelf. And that would be all it took for them to get a grade A scoring chance. But, I mean, James Reimer was absolutely fantastic in this game. The Blue Jackets outshot the Wings, I think, 9-6, I think was the total. And he stopped at least 5 or 6 of those were high danger chances. And I do wonder if maybe the disjointed first period that the Red Wings had to do with how different the lineup looked in this this game, because we didn't cover it on yesterday's episode because literally as we finished hitting record, the Red Wings made the move. They sent Aston Reese back down to the minors, but called Zarnik up. Zarnik centered the fourth line between Kostin and Fisher, which bumped Veleno up to the third line between, was it Perron and Sprong? Second line was Copp with Comfort and Rasmussen, and then your top line stayed the same with Larkin and Raymond. And then, I mean, the defensive pairings outside of Wallman and Sider, you had Gostisbehere and Mata move up to the second pair, which I think is the right move. Give them more ice time because Gostisbehere, and he proved it in this episode, is really good. And then Petrie was the scratch with Shutout and Hull. So like everything was very vastly different from last game. And then the game before that, even like every game, it's been different. So I wonder if maybe part of it was it took 20 minutes from them to figure out how to play with one another. Because after that, man, it was smooth sailing.
Yeah, it really was. And like, I don't even know where you want to really start. I mean, Ghost, you mentioned it, had a fantastic game. Had one play where he single-handedly prevented a goal and then coast to coast, like sprinted down the ice and then scored. First goal was a wing. That was awesome. He had a really good defensive game, just like all around. There was a lot of plays that he made. And he's obviously a force offensively. Seeing him get second pair made me happy. Seeing him get more ice time. He had 15 minutes of ice time after 2 in this game. So I was very thrilled about his usage. That made me very, very a happy camper given how the first 2 games have gone with him. So, yeah, like if you want to start there, like, I mean, he was a real, like the definition of a difference maker in this one.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about your best defenseman, it was Gostisbehere by a mile. Yeah. He saved 2 goals in this game. Twice, I think, in the first period. One was Reimer made the initial save, the puck got behind him, and Gostisbehere, rather. I keep saying Gostisbehere because we call him Ghost, but it's Gostisbehere technically. Gostisbehere swatted it out of the blue. And then on his own goal, he covered the guy who was coming back door so he couldn't get his stick on the puck. And then he followed as the late man in, the fourth guy in. We want to talk about MVPs on the offense and the defense. I'm going to give the MVP on the offense to Joe Veleno in this game. And that might be a hot take, but I thought he played fantastic in a role with extra added responsibility. He's going from getting 10 minutes of ice time to this. In this game, he got 15 with 20 shifts playing 3C. And I thought he looked great out there with Perron and Sprong, and he got the primary assist on Gostisbehere's goal. He carried the puck across the blue line. Columbus Blue Jackets gave him all kinds of space. I don't know what kind of defensive gap control that was, but he just skated it wide, drew defensemen and eyes towards him. Gostisbehere, who was breaking in late, got the puck as the late man rifled it home. I mean, it was a great game out of both of those guys, without a doubt. I thought Veleno in the first 2 games has showed like a little bit extra something that he was lacking the last 2 games, but he finally got I wouldn't say like rewarded. He had 1 primary assist, but I thought all game long he looked really strong.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's a guy that like we were obviously not critical of, but like hard on probably, right? Throughout the summer, like we've made it very clear what we needed to see from him this like fall and winter, right? And I think that he has looked really solid so far. I completely agree. And then honestly, the other one, we just talked yesterday about, like Perron and how he's looked and how moving him off the top line is probably the move. Like he was a defensive menace in this hockey game. Like he looked absolutely stellar defensively. He was one of the really aggressive forecheckers. He was very aggressive in corners and causing a lot of turnovers. He was phenomenal, I thought, on the defensive side of the puck.
It's funny you say that. One, because Perron's not usually known as a defense first kind of guy.
Yeah.
But here's the hockey stat cards for today's game, so you can see everybody's game score. And obviously Shane Gostisbehere, number 1 on the team. His partner, Olimata, number 2 on the team. Joe Veleno, number 3. All 3 were positive assets in every regard of the game, according to Hockey Stat Card's game score. Gostisbehere with over 2.5. Olimata and Joe Veleno over 2 themselves. And then if you want to go down to David Perron, you can see here he's near the bottom of the list. But if you look at this, I mean, like everyone's in the positive, like staunchly in the positive. And to your credit, as you mentioned, David Perron, almost all of his game score impact came at defense, 0.87 defensively on his game score. So you want to translate that to something that makes a little bit more sense, maybe. You can say, if you look at let me get you guys a different screen here. I know we got to go to break here shortly, but you're looking here at the advanced stats here on Natural Stat Trick. Shane Gostisbehere was 4th on the team, the first number 1 defenseman at Corsi for percentage, which shot attempts percentage. That's 57% and 11% relative, which means when he was on the ice, the team produced 11% more scoring chances at 5-on-5. Olimata right behind him. Where's Perron here? Perron, 52%. You want your guys to be over 50% because that means they're generating more scoring shot attempts than are facing when they're out there. So all those guys that we just mentioned, all positive assets. Everyone was pretty much a positive asset in this game, but those guys in particular, it was great to see. We got to take a quick break. I'm sure we'll bring those stats back up again multiple times throughout the episode. But first, I got to talk to you guys today about Game Time. Let me find, there's the banner for you guys. And now, here are my words. Guys, I've used tons of other apps. I will not name them here when buying tickets because we're talking about Game Time. But when you're using those other apps, you end up buying tickets. You end up getting a ton of fees. And the tickets, next thing you know, they cost twice, if not 3 times more than what they said they were going to charge you. You don't got to worry about that with Game Time. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show you your total upfront, so you know exactly, you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concert, comedy, theater, and more, and hockey. Come on now. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings, and the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Scotty, 110%? That's a pretty impressive number.
It's over 100.
Yeah, it's over 100. I never once did that in school. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, those were definitely some words that came out of my mouth just now, weren't they?
100%.
100%.
That was the ad read of all time.
That was one of the ad reads of all time. We have got to continue talking about how good this hockey team was in this 4-0 dominating win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. I know we mentioned James Reimer got a shutout, but did we properly give him his flowers?
No, we have not yet.
Okay, why don't we talk about that? You want to lead us off?
Yeah, man. He was phenomenal. And again, like early in the game for the first 20 minutes of the night, it wasn't, these are a bunch of low danger, nothing shots. Like he was getting a high danger right from the slot all the way down to just right in front of him. He looked phenomenal. And obviously this is not a super high-end opponent, but if you are trying to maintain Husso's, we'll call it stamina, and prevent the burnout that happened at the end of last season, which is what this coaching staff has said is like what they're trying to accomplish this year. If you are trying to do that, we talked about it yesterday. Like this was the perfect game for a backup goalie to play. Like you have 2 tough opponents to start off the season. Then your next 2 opponents are pretty tough. this is the one where you're like, okay, this is a great time to give Husso a break. And if we can play those games, if we can play the bottom of the barrel teams in the NHL, if we can play the Arizonas and the Chicagos and the Columbuses, et cetera, and like Columbus is probably a little bit better than some of those teams, but like you get my point. Like if you can take those and look at a 2-week stretch and be able to put out your backup goalie and stay competitive and or like, I mean, get what you got tonight out of it, that's going to go such a significantly long way at the end of the season. Because that kind of like chess match of game planning when to use them is just as important as the performances themselves. And he was phenomenal in this game against a lot of high danger opportunities early too.
Yeah, and I know some people will look at his performance in this game and go, well, he only faced 23 shots. That's not a ton of work. But I mean, his work in the first period is why the Red Wings won this hockey game. Like, it cannot be overstated that the Red Wings don't go on to win this hockey game if he doesn't become a brick wall in the first to cover up the Red Wings' multiple lapses in the defensive zone. He was absolutely great. So he faced, in fact, for the record, despite the fact that he only faced 23 shots, his goal saved above expected in this game was 1.72. So he saved nearly 2 more goals than what would have been expected of him in this game, despite only facing 23 shots, which just goes to show, one, how bad the defense was in the first period for the Red Wings, but two, how good he was in the first 20 minutes. He earned his rest in the last 40
100%.
minutes. Not that there weren't opportunities, throughout the game where he had to make big saves too, but the bulk of it was that first 20 minutes where he was leaned upon to keep the Red Wings in it. So great start to Reimer's tenure as a Detroit Red Wing. Flowers for Reimer. He deserved it in this game. He was absolutely great. Let's see. Where do we go from here?
My next jersey purchase?
Your next jersey purchase, Klim Kostin. So obviously Klim Kostin played what?
No, what is he, Brian? What is he?
He's a dog.
He's an
absolute dog. Him and Christian Fischer are dogs. Absolutely. Christian Fischer, last game, got the dog award. This game, so you got the 3 stars, and then you got the dog award.
I love it. I'll get a dog award for all 82 games. I will. Don't even tempt me. I literally will.
So in this game, it goes to Klim Kostin,
Very much so.
Played 8 minutes and 30 seconds of ice time in this game, the least amount on the team for the second game in a row. It's becoming very apparent that Derek Lalonde is basically leaning on his top 3 lines and only playing the 4th line to give those guys rest. And, it sucks. I think I mentioned this on the last game. It sucks if you're that 4th line guy because you want to get as much ice time as possible, but you got to earn your position to move up in the roster.
But
I think that this is
like not the entire, like there's some specialty guys like Fisher doesn't have that problem. Like Fisher's going to get, you know what I mean? He's going to get PK opportunities. Like he's, you know what I mean? Like there is opportunity to still fill in other roles, but yes, at even strength, you're absolutely right. It's very apparent that this is going to be a very heavily relied on top 3. I know the game obviously was not close at the end and you want to save some people, but like Veleno got as much ice time as like Larkin and Cat.
But I mean, this is exactly the role you brought Klim, another guy. We got to get the names right. Klim Kostin.
Klim Kostin.
On is he was brought in to be that physical presence on your bottom 6. You knew coming in he wasn't going to play a lot of minutes, but you needed a guy in your team, especially on the offensive core, because last season a lot of your grit and grime came on the defensive side of the puck. You needed some guys in the forward core who could make big physical plays, and Kostin is that guy. So he's going to make the most of his 8 minutes and 30 seconds of ice time, and he did, leveling a huge hit on, was it Sillinger in the defensive zone? He just leveled, and then immediately answered the bell with Gudbranson, and that was a good old timey fisticuffs that he and Gudbranson got involved in. No one really won that fight, but it was fun to watch.
It was fun to watch. That was a good fight, baby. It was a good fight. I love it, man. I on opening night for this show on that episode, I wore my Giovanni Smith jersey, the dog forever. So Kostin already flying up my radar here. Got my eye on some clean Kostin. Also, I think I said Larkin. Larkin played like 20 minutes. It's definitely not true. I meant DeBrincat and Copp, but same story. Like that 4th line has Veleno played on the 3rd, but like those bottom 6 guys have opportunities to make their way up in the lineup in other areas too.
Yeah, and to just attack back on with the Veleno conversation, I thought, I know I mentioned his assist, but he was buzzing all night long, getting into the corners, leveling hits. He ended up, like I said, with 15 minutes of ice time in this one, 2 minutes and 15 seconds on the penalty kill, as well as he's getting an increased look at the PK. I love to see that out of Joe Veleno, and I love to see that for him. I mentioned on the hockey stat cards, he was near the top. Obviously, he had just exactly 50% of Corsi for percentage. But if you sort this by expected goals for percentage, where because I'm trying to find something to fit my narrative here in Joe Veleno, if you try to adhere some quality to those shot attempts, not just overall shot attempts, that fourth line and Joe Veleno are the top 4 players on the team. Granted, ice time at 5-on-5 has a lot to do with that. So if Zarnik, Fisher, Kostin all had less than 9 minutes of ice time at 5-on-5. So they all registered 78%, 78%, and 75% quality shot attempts for rather than against, where Joe Veleno in his 13 minutes of time on the ice, which is, not nothing. I mean, the most 5-on-5 ice time a player saw was Shutout and Hall at 16-19, which is crazy that I'm looking at that and I'm realizing that pair got the most 5-on-5 ice time. But I know Sider, Woolman, and Gostisbehere played a ton on the power play, and I'm sure Mata on the penalty kill. But Joe Veleno was, with 13 minutes of even strength ice time, registered 69% of expected goals for percentage of quality shot attempts at 5-on-5. So he was great at producing and protecting against quality shot attempts in this game. So
for sure,
love me some Joe Veleno. We had to get another quick break, but Scotty, when we return, let's talk about the special teams. The special teams were special in this game. But first, I got to talk to you guys today. He's rolling his eyes. He hates that one. About AG1. Our next partner is AG1, the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. You got to drink it every day because AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers comprehensive nutrients to support whole body health. It replaces your multivitamin, probiotic, and more in one simple drinkable habit. Science-driven formulation of vitamins, probiotics, and whole food sourced superfoods. It is raising the standard for quality in the supplement category. AG1 helps you build your health foundation first. All great athletes have one thing in common. They take care of their bodies, and a huge part of that starts with optimizing whole body health. A lot of them also drink AG1, and that's why you're going to be a huge fan. With every daily serving, you're getting yourself successful 75 high-quality ingredients that give you key daily nutrients and support energy, focus, strength, and clarity. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/NHL Network. That's drinkag1.com/NHL Network. Check it out. Also got to talk to you guys today about FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. Scotty, I'm proud to announce I went 2 for 4 today on my money line bets in the NHL. 2 for 4.
That's great, man.
Well, what's great is I actually ended up making money because of it, because I only took underdogs today. So I took the Panthers, I took the Blackhawks money line, and they won 4-1 over the Maple Leafs because, F those Leafs. I took the Capitals over the Flames, but because it went to a shootout, I think I lost that bet technically. And I took the Coyotes over the Rangers. I lost that one. But because I only took underdogs and only got plus odds, I made money today. Let's go. So the app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props. He's dying over there. He loves my reads. Over, unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, compose yourself. Did I say segment 2? Segment 3.
Worst better ever.
I made money. How's that bad? I'm trying, this is going straight to the wedding fund, dude.
That's great.
Let's calculate exactly how much money I'm up after today.
Please not.
It's going to be like less than $1. I guarantee it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the person who I also think I don't think we've really talked about that I thought was great was JT Comfer, man.
No, I mean, yes.
That line in general, I think, they're never going to be some high-powered, offensive force. So, when you look at like quality shots for, like total shots for and against, like they're probably not going to be too highly regarded, offensively in order to like get that number to be super high. But especially if you put them out there with a Gostisbehere, or even like they were the second line today, even with like Sider and Wallman for even if it's just like 30 seconds, like that has the ability to be a phenomenal defensive line. And we saw it in the goal, right? Like in the Rasmussen, we haven't even talked about your boy scored a goal tonight. In that goal, like Comfer it was just aggressive forecheck, and he intercepted a pass and dumped it off to Rasmussen, who whiffed twice, and third time's a charm, buried the puck. But yeah, man, that was I didn't expect to see Copp on the wing this early in the season. But
I think it's a temporary thing, though. It's got to be.
Yeah, I think it's just because Fabry's hurt. I agree. It sounds like they said he's plans on playing Wednesday, so that's good. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a permanent thing, but like Copper scored a goal, and defensively, like those three on a line together could be a really aggressive, like and good defensive line, I feel like. So again, like you have to mix it up because you want more offense down there, I think, long term. But I don't know, for one night, if you just want to stop somebody, like top six a little bit, I don't mind throwing those three out there together.
No, I agree. And what's funny is this is where advanced analytics like argue with one another. I agree. I thought they outside the first period, I thought they looked rough in the first period, but everyone did. I thought that they looked fine together. But what's really interesting is if you sort all the players by Corsi for percentage, which is again shot attempts, expected goals for percentage, which is quality shot attempts at 5-on-5. Their line is firmly at the bottom, well below 50% in both of those categories. But if you then sort it by hockey stat cards, their line is amongst the top. And what's crazy is hockey stat cards, when formulating its game score, pulls data from natural stat trick. So this is where sometimes this is where you have to use the eye test. And the eye test shows us that they were an effective line out there, obviously producing the goal. Michael Rasmussen must have been watching game tape on me on how to score, where you just fail into it. he whiffed twice. What we call that is persistence, Scotty. So that's right. Persistence. He stayed with it. But, I thought they looked like a good line. Hockey stat card says they were a good line out there. Again, they're the best offensive line the Red Wings had in this game. But when it comes to actual bona fide quantitative numbers, they were out there for more shot attempts against than for. But what that tells me is that they did a good job of suppressing those shot attempts.
Right.
And blocking the shots. Those shots missed the net, where they just, they made the most of their opportunities in the offensive zone. That's where I would say that's what must be where the discrepancy is.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. That's why I leaded it off how I did. Like I think that they're not going to get a ton of high quality shot attempts together on the ice together, but I think they're certainly going to suppress shots in general. And after the first period, they suppressed, really, the whole team did a lot better of suppressing those high quality shots. But yeah, I thought Comfer specifically had a really, really solid game. Like I said, Copper with a goal, always nice to see. What else, man? Oh, I mean, I guess I kind of want to. What'd you say?
Special teams?
Yeah, well, yes. We have to talk about the special teams, but I also want to say, just in general, the aggressive forecheck thing is very clearly the mindset of the season. This is we're 3 for 3. This is very clearly the identity that this team wants to take, and I'm very pumped about it, right? I've been, again, like we talked about it yesterday, I've been calling for a more aggressive forecheck for 2.5 years now. I'm glad that we're finally here. It is going to lead to some rushes, that certainly was still a thing in this game, but against a team that's just not as talented or not up to par as the Wings are currently with the Blue Jackets, those chances were pretty much snuffed out as well. So but the aggressive forward, I mean, Raymond was playing like aggressive forecheck and getting like intercepting the puck and getting poke checks even. And I was like, okay,
he looks
this
so
is
good.
clearly this is clearly the mindset of the team. If we got Razor out here leading the charge with it.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't really talked about like the top line at all. I think the top line looked pretty good. Didn't really do a lot at 5-on-5 in producing opportunities.
Yeah.
They all three of them got points in this game, but all three of them came off the power play.
Let's transition into the special teams then. This power play makes me feel some type of way, man. It makes
What
me
was my
tingly.
prediction? What was my prediction?
It makes me tingly. It's 3 games into the season. You can still be wrong. It's
What was that? Did you see
but
that?
For real,
like a moth flew across my screen or something.
Yeah, right. We like this power play gets me really excited, man. And like obviously there's still a lot of time, and we'll see how it progresses against some better opponents and some better penalty kills. But golly, like this really was another fantastic performance by the power play. And every time, like even if they're not scoring, like they're getting high danger looks every single time they're on the ice together. It's really exciting.
And what's really nice is both power play units scored in this game too.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously that top power play unit of Perron, DeBrincat, Gostisbehere, Larkin, and Seider has had phenomenal puck movement all in this early 3-game season. Like it's had great looks, and it converted in this game on, I mean, just masterful look by DeBrincat to Larkin on the blue line, catching him streaking. Because one thing they're still doing this, and I really don't like it, is they do this thing where Seider skates to the blue line and then drops it all the way back in the defensive zone. Like the attempt is to push the Blue Jackets back as much as possible to give Larkin as much time as he can to streak. But what it gives them when they send it all the way back to Larkin on the goal line is it gives the Blue Jackets a ton of time to respond, in my eyes. But what was nice about the Larkin goal in this one, which was a beautiful goal, was that DeBrincat was carrying the puck up, Larkin streaking opposite side, and he went across the blue line to Larkin while everyone was looking at DeBrincat. And that was such a beautiful zone entry. And what it did was it forced the Blue Jackets, what's the guy's name? I'll make sure I don't butcher this here. Corrali, had to do a desperation hook. They called him on a slash, and Mickey Redmond said it was weak, but it looked like a bona fide hook to me on Larkin's glove to draw another penalty, in which then the second power play unit went out there and Raymond took a shot. Copp buried it. So boom, right there, your top line all got a point. Seider got an assist on the Larkin goal as well. Wallman had a secondary assist. Obviously, Gostisbehere, Veleno, Mata all had points in this game, along with Rasmussen and Coffer. Like everybody you want, like on your top pair defensemen and your top forward line, all got points in this game, and all doing it, in many different ways. So it was just great. It was just a great game overall, man. And then of course the penalty kill, 5 for 5 on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff, shutting down again. Not a great Blue Jackets team, but still, like good teams are gonna successfly kill penalties. So and the penalty kills,
there's some guys that can put the puck in the back of the net on that team too. Like I said, I don't want to really lump them in with the the worst in the league, but
they're gonna be like
they're not the Sharks, you know what I mean? Like that, like there's some guys that can put the puck in the net and create plays, but the special teams I can't sing the praises of enough. I already talked about the power play. You just mentioned the penalty kill. They everybody looked fantastic in this one, and it's something like all in all, like this is a game where we're not trying to get too high with beating a team that like we are better than, right? Like the Wings are objectively on paper and clearly in practice better than the Columbus Blue Jackets. But like there was a time when we were the team at the bottom. So like it's just nice to be the team that's expected to win. But also we say it all the time, and we said it a lot last year and it didn't come to fruition. Good teams beat teams they're better than. Good teams take care of business. And last season's Wings team was a roller coaster. Well, you're beating the Leafs one night and losing to the Coyotes in overtime the next. Like it was all over. And certainly they'll have their off nights for sure. Like, it's not going to be we're not going to go 81-1-0, but like the fact that we went in and took care of business against a team we are better than is cause for celebration for sure.
Listen, all I'm saying is right now, through 3 games, the Red Wings have the second best power play in the league. I'm just saying.
You are just saying. Yep, exactly.
Saying.
You said it yourself. You are just saying that.
Second best power play in the league. Just saying. Scotty, before we sign off, I want to show you the absolute sexiest heat map I've ever seen the Red Wings produce defensively. This deserves some credit. And it's kind of crazy that this is what the heat map looks like, given how bad that first period was by them. But yeah, look at those shot attempts inside the slot, or lack thereof. Just absolute domination by this Red Wings defensively. And I mean, the offensive zone is just everywhere within those two dots is covered in, some shade of green to blue. So they're getting a lot of grade A opportunities. And then defensively,
the low slot defensively, like nothing. It was all high, eh? I guess it was, but
yeah, there was like one opportunity. You see it here off to the side of the net, but like,
well, yeah, I remember that play. Yeah, that was
they did a great job of shutting down the Blue Jackets. Again, a team you should beat. Good teams beat teams that are worse than you, and the Blue Jackets are a worse team, and they did a good job. So, all in all, I mean, this is I almost call it an A+ game of that first period. I'm bringing it down to an A game.
Yeah, I think I agree. A+ is like a perfect performance, and this certainly we had faults to highlight in this game, but certainly a very, very good performance. Gives you a lot of good momentum going back home against Pittsburgh. Big game on Wednesday.
Yeah, big game on Wednesday. All right, we're gonna sign it off here, I think. Scotty, you got any final thoughts?
No, we ball, baby.
We ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow, previewing the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.